So we're on a little family hike up in this ravine. Thought it'd be kind of cool to shoot like a little video that's kind of like my story of what got me into a YXZ, because we all have a story where we all started in the off-road industry. I'm just gonna jump through this canyon, get some random clips. We should be able to go back on videos. I mean, I have YouTube videos from like 2008, 2009. I'm gonna pull up those cringy videos and throw some of those clips in here too. For the first thing that got me started in all of this was a big red three-wheeler. My grandparents owned some property. I would go out there, and that was the best thing ever, was going out to their house and ripping the big red three-wheeler all in their back field. Shortly after the big red three-wheeler, I moved to the BMX scene. I did the really cool stuff back in the day on YouTube. It was doing bike checks.
FSA Nasty Boy cranks, Shadow screws and skeleton sprocket, KMC chain.
I mean, I had a sick bike, so you had to ride it pretty good. I have photos and videos of me jumping big dirt jumps, skate parks. After the BMX scene, my dad put me on a 400EX. I started riding that, and that's when everything got kind of crazy, because I started jumping that 400EX and would send it with like that crappy suspension, land and bounce. But we also did everything with those quads. Like, we weren't just duners. We went to the dunes a lot, but we also went out and hit the mountain trails. As you can see, I've always been everywhere. I mean, we try to ride all kinds of different things. As I got older, I wanted a 450, and I've really liked the Yamahas. There's a lot of them. Yamaha probably produced the most 450 ATVs still to this day. I jumped on a 06 YFZ 450. It was white. It was actually really quick for being a stock bike. Ended up seizing the crank on it, just threw an OEM crank back in it and sold it. And then I moved down to an 05 YFZ, but it was fully decked. It was a race quad. Got it for a screaming deal. I couldn't have turned it down. So the 05 is when I really started riding, getting kind of serious about it. We were doing the dunes, we were doing everything else, just trying to jump it, practice wheeling and all that stuff. But out of all my quads, my 05 black one was probably my favorite. Ended up paint matching it same color as my F-150, so when it was in the bed of the F-150, it just looked slick. Kind of getting bored of the quads and ended up picking up my 03 Cobra. Took a little break from the off-road scene, was doing a lot of car stuff, which was a lot of fun in the moment. I feel like the car scene is dying nowadays, so it's not as cool to do. That's why the Cobra mostly sits, and we're out here in this beautiful place. But also with time, you get a family going and stuff. Two-door Mustang with a tiny back seat isn't ideal. This is what we enjoy to do more than trying to drive around the car. Plus, you just get to see so much more. It's not parking lots and State Street. Got a whole family walk going on in this canyon, so that's why I'm shooting this. Got the dogs running around. This little dog we got, Indy, she is a rock crawler. She loves these rocks. She'll jump up anything. She's this little tiny dog, but she runs around through here like she grew up here. Back to the 03 Cobra. You guys probably know I have that. It's a really cool car. It was my dream car growing up. 16 years old, I bought a white V6, and ever since then, I've just been progressing. Had a 99 white Cobra in the 03. I had a wrecked Mystic Cobra back in the day. I almost had plans to fix that, but that car was way too far gone, so that was a part out. So then I'm out at Little Sarah Sand Dunes, and I'm on my 05 YFZ 450. Started seeing YXZs around. Like the day that they dropped the debut video of them like slamming the whoops, I was like, man, that's sick. It's got a sequential. You can shift it. Like, that's a side-by-side that I could get down with. And then they were on my radar. Out at Little Sarah Sand Dunes, probably like 17, 18, out there riding my quad, and Packer Performance shows up. And I see these guys ripping, and I'm like, that is a badass machine. So I end up going up to the top, and I don't remember if it was Jed or Jace, one of the two. I rolled up next to him, and I'm like, how big of a shot of nitrous are you running? And he's like, oh, just like a 50 shot, just to spool the turbo. And I'm like, what? Like, what kind of power are these things making? And he tells me 300, 400, whatever it was at the time. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Light chassis making that power, has gotta be an animal to wrangle. But then I was on the hunt for a YXZ. Back to the 05, I built it with the gray and blue paint match to my truck. Limitless Design signs was giving away a YXZ, and it had gray and blue. I was like, no way. And so I commented and was like, oh, it'd be funny if I won it. It'd match my quad perfect. Didn't win it. They gave it away. About a year goes by. Now I'm just watching our local marketplace trying to find something, because I was in the market for a side-by-side. Found this gray and blue YXZ with a supercharger, and it was the giveaway car. And they were asking like 14 grand for it or something. So I was like, all right, let's go pick this up. Ripped the crap out of it. Broke a bunch of stuff. I think I broke the transmission, a couple of diffs, shift shaft, all like the regular things. Wore out some ball joints. Lots of videos on that. If you go back on the channel, we did mountains, we did sand, I rock crawled it. We did a bunch of stuff. Love the Grazy. That car has a special place in my heart. The guy I sold it to, I keep in contact with him. If he ever goes to sell it, I might buy it back because I just miss that car so much. Now on to the Blue Z. One day I'm at work and I'm working with Dylan, and he pulls up Facebook Marketplace and he's like, why is this guy asking so much for this YXZ? I'm like looking at it. It's K&T build, full motor build, all these things. And I'm currently in the market to turbo my supercharged YXZ. Looking at turbo kits and stuff, and then this pops up and I'm like, I run the numbers and I'm like roughly about 10 grand to turbo the Grazy the right way. Doing a full motor build and a big turbo kit and a lot of time and effort. If you've seen me, we're out every weekend. I ain't got time to go build a motor and sit in the garage. I don't mind doing it. It would be fun, but I like this. I like being out. I've done the motor builds and sat in the garage for years with quads and all that. Had a lot of fun with it, don't get me wrong. I'm at a different stage in my life where I just want to go enjoy my time. Seen that Blue Z and I was like, I'm gonna go pick this one up. I have two YXZs now. I got the Gray Z and the Blue Z, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna keep both Zs. I ended up selling the Gray Z. It was a moment of time where I was like, oh, the Blue Z will do it all. Can't haul two Zs out camping all the time. Sold the Gray Z, made back almost all my money from the Blue Z, then the Blue YXZ. That thing started taking off. I had a couple videos go viral on TikTok of the Gray Z. That's kind of what like started fueling this. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like not a lot of people know that they have sequential side-by-sides. I get so many comments still to this day of like, oh, I didn't know they had those. That makes side-by-sides cool now. Most of you guys have rode along with the Blue Z, so I don't need to explain that too much. That car has been a blast. Been ripping it all this trip with MC Productions, and it just performed so well. So well, it blew the exhaust apart walking down the trail. After the Blue Z, we were ripping little shit quads. I got that LT 185. I threw a turbo on it. Old turbo quad. She's a ripper in the grass. And that was a lot of fun. Kind of made me miss having a quad again, because I ended up selling the YXZ 450 a couple years back when I had the Gray Z. And I wanted to get into another quad. I've been watching the market and seeing what's going on. By seeing an old friend's LTR. When we sprayed my YXZ 450 plastics, he was building this LTR. He had somebody fully build the motor, and that was super slick. So I ran up, snagged that LTR, was super stoked on that. The whole reason why I even love the LTRs though is my dad's LTR. You guys have seen the videos of it. That thing, ever since he got it, and like all the research I started doing on it, all the racing they did with it, how many podiums that thing took, how good of a build it was, being all symmetrical, the shocks in the center, and they put everything they could in the center of that bike to keep the center of gravity there. So I really wanted an LTR, picked up that one and been ripping it, but I think my next move is going to be getting something a little more stock, something that I can just go ride and ride and ride. A fully built LTR from top to bottom with a big stroker, ported head, 14:1 compression. Like, it's a fast quad, but it's just not ideal to go out and dune on the backside for hours, and that's how I ride. We get going, I just don't stop. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this little story time, kind of open up a little bit more of where I came from and who I am in a way. All I'm saying is if you can wrangle a three-wheeler, an old school, like I had a 250R at one time and the big red that I was riding, if you can wrangle those things, you are made for a YXZ. That's just how it is. Well, I'm gonna continue my walk all the way back to camp. We're gonna load up, head on home. This has been a good trip. Keep an eye out for all the footage. We have day one coming down here. Day two is with Miller. Really cool dude. Happy to make a friend from clear on the other side of the United States. And then today is just a little story time. Here in the ravine, we went on a little family hike looking for rocks. I'm gonna end this video here. Go look for rocks.